Good morning, everyone. Thank you for
morning.
being
Good morning.
here. I'm Clarissa Rodriguez, Chair of the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. Today's meeting is being webcast live for members of the public, so welcome. I now have the honor of calling the 1026th meeting of the full board to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call attendance?
Vice Chair Foster,
Here.
Board Member Higgins,
Here.
Board Member Lobin,
Here.
Board Member Williams,
Here.
Board Member Hull,
Here.
Board Member Crane,
Here.
Board Member Stasko,
Here.
Board Member Tavares,
Here.
Board Member Caginelli,
Here.
Board Member Delan,
Here.
Board Member Delgado,
Here.
and Board Member Perez.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a full board.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Agenda item 1, approval of the October 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Board members, you've all received a copy of the October meeting minutes for your review. Are there any questions or need for discussion? Okay, hearing none, may I please have a motion to approve the board meeting minutes for October 2023?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Stephen Crane, and I move to approve the October 17th, 2023 board meeting minutes.
Thank you, Board Member Crane. Is there a second?
This is Board Member Gloribel Perez, and I second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Perez. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, hearing none. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Okay, hearing none, I am also a yes. That motion is passed. Thank you. Agenda item 2, Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report. Deputy General Counsel Keith Longden will present the Statistical and Informational Report for October 2023. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Chair Rodriguez. Briefly, this is the statistical analysis for October 2023 of the 3 divisions of the Office of Issue and Resolution within the Office of General Counsel. The Adjudication Division held 18,481 hearings, resolved 12,168 cases at hearing, and issued 348 reserved decisions. In addition, they resolved 1,966 cases by Section 32 waiver agreement. The Administrative Review Division during this time period received 1,097 applications for review, processed 957 for an end-of-month inventory of 6,235 cases. And finally, the Legal Affairs Division received 118 full board review applications, processed 68 applications for an end-of-month inventory of 253 cases. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. Board members, are there any questions or need for discussion? Okay, hearing none, may I please have a motion to accept the Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report?
This is Board Member Stephen Crane, move to adopt the report.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Stephen Crane. Is there a second?
This is Board Member Gloribel Perez. I second that motion.
Thank you, Board Member Perez. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, hearing no opposition. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 3, license applications. There is nothing to consider this month, so we'll move on to our legal appeals. Keith Longden will now present the recommendations concerning decisions by the Appellate Division.
Thank you, Chair. This month, there are 2 decisions of the Appellate Division, 3rd Department, on the agenda. Both cases affirm the decision of the board. They're located in items 4A and 4B of our agenda, and it's a recommendation of the Office of General Counsel that both decisions be adopted as a decision of the board.
Thank you, Keith. May I have a motion to accept the recommendations of the Office of General Counsel?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Stephen Crane, move to adopt 4A and 4B as the decisions of the board.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Crane. Is there a second?
Yes, this is Board Member Gloribel Perez, and I second that motion.
Thank you, Board Member Perez. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, hearing none. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 5, mandatory full board review. We have only one case this month. It's 5A, Colombo Block Company Incorporated, case number G26811. One. There's an additional one there. Let's do that again. G26811. Okay. Is there a motion with respect to 5A on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Linda Hull, and I would move that neither the dissent nor the majority be adopted, but a new decision be fashioned as the decision of the full board.
Okay. Thank you, Board Member Hull. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair. Board Member Stephen Crane, I second that motion.
Okay. Thank you, Board Member Crane. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay. Hearing no opposition, board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition. I am also a yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 6, discretionary full board review. I turn this portion of the agenda over to Vice Chair Frida Foster.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the items listed in Section 6 on your agenda, it's been recommended that full board review be granted. That case is the matter of UPS. I move to refer the case back to the respective panel for further consideration.
Okay, thank you, Frida Foster. Is there a second?
Yes, this is Board Member Gloria Perez, and I second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Perez. Are there any recusals from either of these matters, from this matter? No. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, hearing no opposition, board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition. I am also a yes. That motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item 8. Well, before we get to that, is there any other business today? Board members, no? Okay. So we'll move on to our guest speaker. Our guest speaker today is Steve Scotti, our executive director here at the board. Stephen, who goes by Steve, joined the board in 2022, bringing many years of relevant industry, government, and leadership experience to the role, which allowed him to hit the ground running. Before joining the board, he served as acting deputy general counsel for the Workers' Compensation Division of the MTA, New York City Transit Authority. He has been a practicing attorney for over 30 years, beginning in the public sector at the U.S. Department of Labor, followed by 15 years with the New York City Law Department and Con Edison before that, where he was responsible for building a workers' compensation practice in its law department. Steve was no stranger to the board, serving on 2 governor's workers' compensation task forces, the Rocket Docket Committee and Task Force on Group Self-Insurance, and as a member of the Executive Committee of the Special Funds Conservation Committee, and even received the board's Chairman's Award for Excellence in 2001. He is also a former chair of the New York Self-Insured Association, served for many years as its special counsel. And in 2016, he was inducted as a fellow in the College of Workers' Compensation Lawyers, a very well-deserved honor. Stephen has a BA in political science from Stony Brook University and a JD with honors from New York Law School. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Honorable Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here today. I became the Executive Director on September 6th of last year, and it's been quite a learning experience despite the fact that I have over 35 years of full service in the workers' compensation field. I looked at the mission of the board, and I actually think of today's presentation as, if I were to give it a title, I'd say fulfilling the mission. And our mission statement, to protect the rights of employees and employers by ensuring the proper delivery of benefits and by promoting compliance with the law, is concise, compelling, meaningful. Your work here fulfills this mission. But as I've learned over the last year as executive director, we have a large operating agency that delivers on this mission as well. In fact, the mission statement encompasses everything within the statute that the board administers. And I'm going to walk through, in a rather quick way today, but I'm going to walk through each operational area of the Workers' Compensation Board. I'll touch a little bit upon what you folks do, but I'm really going to focus on the operating areas, and I'm going to provide a lot of data. And I do that because I think the data is very instructive to show how high-performing this agency is. And I've seen the people here. The data is just numbers, but behind each number is a person, is a team, is a group dedicated to excellence, dedicated to fulfilling the mission. So I think these numbers are important because they show the productivity of this agency. And that's why I want to walk you through the numbers. I'll talk a little bit about some of them as we go through the slide deck. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that has information that you're very familiar with, as you see. You see the number of proposed conciliation decisions that we average a month, nearly 17,000. What I find very interesting is the number of these decisions that are accepted. 85% is the acceptance rate of proposed decisions, which is critical for delivering services and for uncongesting calendars so that we can hold hearings on those cases that need hearings. You see the number of hearings per month. That's an area where we're trying to get even more hearings, quite frankly. When I came here as executive director, we had about 77 judges. Today, we have over 100 judges. And that's helped us to move cases to hearings and need hearings much more quickly. We're looking to reduce the time it takes for cases to get on calendar, and we've done so. When we look at the last 6 months, we have a term called hearing unsets. These are cases that need a hearing, but we don't have an availability on the calendar to schedule a hearing. The unsets have gone down 50% in the last 6 months, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we have a lot more judges on calendar. The administrative review division, there you're looking at 785 board panel decisions per month. 85% of these decisions are affirmed on appeal by the third department, so that's quite an impressive affirmance rate. I should tell you that these statistics here are for the first 9 months of 2023. And then the legal affairs division has a lot of review applications that are processed each month, along with FOIL requests. Next slide, please. The Public Information Office. You can see all the work that's done from the Public Information Office in terms of training, outreach. I'm not going to review each statistic with you, but I will say that the board has always done a very good job of outreach with stakeholders. But I think within the last year, we're trying to do something a little bit differently. We're really looking at, instead of just putting the information out there, we want to receive comments and actually get a real dialogue with our stakeholders. Find out what their pain points are. And quite frankly, we can tell them what our pain points are. And we're having constructive dialogues in every area that I can think of, quite frankly, where the stakeholders are giving us good ideas and we're implementing them. And I'll talk some more about that on other slides. So we're doing a lot of outreach, enhanced outreach, where we're partnering with our stakeholders, identifying the pain points, and trying to come up with solutions that work for everyone. Next slide, please. The Medical Director's Office. Here you see let me just say, I'm just picking some statistics from each one of these areas. I could probably spend the entire day just talking about each operating area in detail. But I wanted to just give you an idea of some of the good work that they're doing. 13 F cases, those are cases where the provider has charged the injured worker for the service when they're not permitted to do so under the statute. And the medical director's office will investigate and try to get the money back. Often injured workers are billed by providers who shouldn't be billing them because they are not able to do so under the statute, and the MDO we'll work on those cases as well. Clinical standards that's really, that's the PAR team. The PAR team, and let me talk a little bit about that. So the PARs became operational May of 2022. To date, we've had over 1.25 million PARs go through the system. And as I speak here today, only 1% of all of those PARs require a hearing. So there's a lot of efficiency that's built into this. Now, when I became executive director, I heard a lot of complaints about PARs. We had a lot of stakeholder dialogue. We've made over 45 enhancements to the PAR process since May 2022. A lot of those enhancements are based on direct feedback from stakeholders, providers, and payers. Today, 100% of medication, behavioral health, and durable medical equipment PARs are fully resolved within 3 days, most within 1 day. The L3 backlog today is just a couple of 100, whereas it was in the thousands a year ago. We've made a lot of progress here, and we have enhancements. We just rolled out an enhancement where the L1 grant without prejudice is now available to payers. We're going to be rolling out an enhancement where the delegate submission enhancement where the physician can authorize his delegate or her delegate to submit the PARs. This is something we heard very much about from medical providers. And what's queued up in probably Q2 of next year, the ability to withdraw a PAR. We've heard from providers that they make a mistake, they want to take the PAR back out, the system wasn't built that way, so that'll be available as well. So a lot of work has gone into this. Also, the bottom bullet is the HP1 process, and you can see where the numbers there. The medical director's office has substantially reduced the amount of time it takes to review an HP1. It's now on average taking about 3 months for an HP1 award. Next slide, please. The Office of Intergovernmental and Regulatory Services, we're starting with data management and analytics, and that's because we really have a renewed emphasis on data at the board. You can see the increase in services that are flowing from that unit. We really want to evaluate our performance through data. Well, let me step back. The first thing is the data has to be accurate. So we have to make sure we have clean data. So we clean the data, and then we can evaluate, are our systems working the way they should be? Are the stakeholders using the system the way they should be using it? Perhaps inefficiencies are created there. And we're finding that through the data, we can validate that systems work, we can identify pain points that we can perhaps address with modifications. And risk management, that team is very important and vital to the board to make sure that we can self-identify areas within the board that need to be shored up. Next slide, please. Vocational rehabilitation services. This is another area that we are strengthening, hiring more voc rehab counselors. That number, 863 direct referrals. A year ago, it was 440. So you see the almost a doubling, quite frankly, of those direct referrals. Same thing with the licensed master social workers. We're trying to get services to those who need it, identify those who can take advantage of the help that we can provide, make appropriate referrals where referrals are necessary. And language access, as you all know, the chair implemented ASL. This is the 7th meeting where ASL is here. And we have a language access coordinator that is very, very helpful in facilitating access and managing the reporting responsibilities. Next slide, please. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Part of it, this is really part of the changing culture effort at the board that's led by the chair. And you can see, as you all know, we have a chief diversity officer. We have a DEI council that is looking to implement the 5-year strategic plan as directed by the governor. A lot of trainings. The first Lunch and Learn had 12 attendees. The last Lunch and Learn had 120. The effort here is to bring people together, to make sure we create a culture of respect, dignity, equity, and inclusion. And this is an area where our chief diversity officer is really looking at everything that the agency does. It's a priority to make sure that we are more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Next slide, please. Compliance and litigation. 698 stop work orders that were issued. Our enforcement unit is comprised by about 40 investigators, and throughout the state they conduct field investigations of employer locations, and they investigate complaints of no coverage as well as allegations of fraud. As I speak, they are now in week 4 of the Joint Cannabis Task Force. This is a governor's task force that has the Office of Cannabis Management, Department of Labor, Labor Standards Division, the Department of Tax and Finance, and the Workers' Compensation Board, where there are random sweeps throughout the state to see if the cannabis shops are legal, whether they are in compliance with the tax laws, whether they have workers' compensation insurance. And I can tell you that in the first 27 sweeps, 19 did not have workers' compensation insurance, and there were 19 stop work orders there. This is ongoing. We continue to do this. Litigation. 35 favorable court decisions. None unfavorable. We actually had our first trial verdict this year, which the joint and several liability standard has been upheld in many court decisions, but we actually had our first trial verdict that upheld the joint and several liability against a group trust, and we had complete success in that trial. We have another trial scheduled December 4th. So the group trust litigation has not ended. We're kind of in the bottom of the 9th inning, I'd say, when you look at all the litigation that has been going on. But the litigation unit is doing a wonderful job there. You can see they secured $37 million in recoveries, and that's for last year. You know, these stats are all last 12 months. UEF hearings. You know, the most common successful defense when it comes to a UEF case is improper cancellation of coverage. And the statute is strictly construed here, and coverage must be canceled within 10 days, and it must be done by certified mail. And that's when there's been no payment. If there's any other reason than no payment of premium, you have 30 days. So this unit has been very successful in identifying the proper carrier who is responsible. And as you can see from the data, only 5.2% of claims are established against the UEF. I guess the second most common defense is in the contract industry. Section 56 of the statute provides that if a subcontractor does not have insurance, the contractor will be liable. So a lot of the cases that go into UEF arise out of the construction industry. There are subcontractors who don't have insurance. The contractor is responsible for the workers' compensation. And then our payer compliance unit, which we're looking to beef up, by the way, but they do carry audits. Nearly $1.75 billion collected last year. And every carrier gets audited. It's on a 3-year cycle. So every 3 years, the carrier is going to be audited by the payer compliance unit. As I said, we're looking to build some additional metrics to that unit as well. Next slide, please. The Office of Operations. You can see the number of work orders there is staggering. We have about 150 claims examiners at the agency who are working on this. We have a lot of, we're looking to fill probably another 35 to 50. But you can see the amount of work that they do here, not only in the work items, but the administrative determinations that are made. They also receive about 20,000 RFAs a month. This is an area where we use data management analytics to see why are we getting so many RFAs. So they've evaluated that, and we've identified areas where stakeholders don't have to issue an RFA. If they can be more efficient, we can be more efficient, and vice versa. So it's an area where the data analytics team has looked at, what are all of these RFAs for? And we engage the stakeholder in conversations about, how to improve this, because they don't want us to be inefficient either. The disability benefits unit, if the employer is uninsured, the disability examiner will make a determination of eligibility for benefits. And if the claimant is eligible, benefits will issue from the special fund for disability payments. The no insurance there, you see the word PARS, you may be thinking, why is the no insurance unit handling PARS? Isn't that the NGO? Those are actually the L1, L2 PARS that have to be handled by the no insurance unit. When there's no carrier identified, they're actually managing the case. They're actually receiving PARS at the L1, L2 level. They're responding to them. If they deny a PAR or escalate the PAR to L3, then it goes over to the MDO's office. Next slide, please. So Office of Operations, you see all those C81Bs that we received. It's another area where data management looked at why are we receiving 70,000 C81Bs a month. And we found out, and this was a manual effort by the data analytics team, but we found out that a lot of the stakeholders are improperly requesting C81Bs. They're filing them on the grounds of a duplicate bill, which you should not be filing a C81B if it's a duplicate bill, that you should just be sending an EOB. They'll file a C81B objecting that it's been paid. It's been paid in accordance with the fee schedule. That is not an appropriate grounds to file a C81B. You don't file a C81B if you've already paid it in accordance with the fee schedule. There are contractual networks out there that pay less than fee schedule. If an employer has contracted with a network, then that is not a C81B objection. We see a lot of C81Bs that are filed because of that. So we've engaged in stakeholder outreach. We've done it with Gov Delivery. We've done it when we meet with stakeholders, and we've let them know that here are areas where you can be more efficient. I can tell you that the feedback has been very, very, very well received. When I've spoken to groups, industry groups, they've been very happy to hear the feedback. A lot of the carriers don't know what's going on at the claims examiner level, so we can identify areas that can be improved. Quality control, you see all the calendar date hearings set. The case assembly, those are cases that are assembled manually. Most cases are assembled through the Freud process. They're automated. And the board actually assembles 5,200 claims each week. But notwithstanding that, there are always claims that there's no carrier has been identified, so we will manually assemble the claim. And then the claim call center, you see the number of calls that are received each month. Approximately 5,200 of those go to the claims examiners in our operations office. Depending upon the nature of the call, it'll go to a particular unit within operations. There's a prioritization ranking of the certain more difficult calls go to higher level examiners, supervising examiners. Oh, yes. Okay. Office of Innovation, I'm going to speed it up. Now, this is really the new board, quite frankly, the Office of Innovation. I'm not going to talk to these slides. I think I'm going to go, in the interest of time, to the next two slides. Here we go. So OnBoard. OnBoard is a multi-year project. This is going to transform the board. This is really transformative. We are the PMO office in the Office of Innovation. They have timelines, business analysts working on this transformation. Our systems here, and we have 8 systems, they're like over 20 years old. They all need to be modernized. And I'm going to say one thing here because I know time is an issue. We're really going from paper to electronic, but what does that mean? What it means is when someone sends us paper, we have a claims examiner. Well, first we scan, that costs money. Then it goes to a claims examiner who has to data input. Errors can be made there. Then the claims examiner has to determine what's the path resolution for that claim. When you go electronic, when you go e-form, instead of having a mirror image that goes into our system that someone needs to basically clerically input, it integrates automatically into our CIS customer information system. It automatically goes into our data set, so the data is accurate. If it's not accurate, it gets kicked out. So now we have accurate data, and our system will put it on the resolution path. So we don't actually need to have an individual go in and make an item. So this will really transform the way we do our business, the way we deal with stakeholders. It'll make them much more efficient. It'll make us more efficient. Our examiners will be freed up from doing a lot of the administrative work that perhaps doesn't require as much thinking and judgment, the work that they like to do. All right. Next slide, please. Next slide. Financial services. They manage 8 funds. I think here I'll just talk about the fact that we do have. We are managing all 25A claims. If you can go to the next slide, please, Laura. We have 4 TPAs that manage our 25A claims. 25A claims, that fund was closed January 1, 2014. The TPAs are being managed by financial services. As you can see, there's 183,000 claims currently that are left. We're trying to reduce that liability. We do that with ALPs, lost portfolio transfers. You can see that we've had 4 totaling $500 million. We're looking to whammo a lot of these 15A cases. That fund was closed July 1, 2007, and we're looking to get out of the reimbursement business here. Quite frankly, we will give you a check. We will give you full fair value of your 15A claims today. The actuaries will get involved, and then we'll actually write you a check, and you will no longer send your 15A reimbursement request to the board, and we will no longer have to do an accounting and reject them, accept them, and have all of those frictional transactional costs that are associated. Next slide, please. The advocate for business. You can see all the work that's done here. Common issues that come to the advocate for business are coverage, exemptions, penalties, debarment, paid family leave. A lot of outreach done here. We estimate there's over 750,000 employers in the state of New York, and the advocate is very engaged here with a lot of outreach. All of the outreach we do, of course, is facilitated and helped so much by our public information office. This presentation today is, I want to thank Missy Stewart and her team for all that they do. in the outreach. And then the last slide, please, the advocate for injured workers. You see all the good work that the advocate is doing here. Recently, the advocate identified an issue with respect to 21A payment claims, that they weren't being processed as intended by the statute. And we put out a gov delivery and we got it out to the stakeholders, so to make sure that the payments are being made in accordance with the medical in the file. So these are areas where everyone identifies an issue, they bring it up through the leadership, and we try to get it out to the industry so that we can make the system much more efficient. And with that, I'm going to thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Steve. We really appreciate that presentation, chock full of information, and I hope the public does too. With that, I will ask the board for a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Board Member Stephen Crane, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Crane. May I have a second?
Board Member Gloribel Perez, I second that motion.
Thank you, Board Member Perez. Board members, any opposition to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? I am also a yes. That motion is passed, meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.